Hey everybody, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Smoke Meat's brought to you by Joe's Underground in Augusta, Georgia, at the corner of 8th and Broad. As soon as all this quarantine stuff's over, going to be one hell of a party down here at Joe's. You don't want to miss it. 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar building. Jeremy and the gang know how to make everybody feel like they're at home. So make sure you go down there. I know I'm going to. I miss it a lot. Today on Smoke Meat, we have a very, very special, unique guest. He is a big man. That's right, his name is Pat Jankiewicz. He's been in Star Trek Voyager. He played a goon in The Rundown. That's his actual credit, is goon. And he played the Shape in a movie called Hoax about Bigfoot. Like I say, really big guy, pushing 7 foot. He is huge, but he's such a great guy. We're going to have so much fun today. So everybody just kick back and listen and enjoy. You're on Smoke Meat. Let's get this thing going. How the hell are you today, Pat?
Well, I am great, good sir. And yourself?
Any better, I'd be twins, man. I would be twins. A lot of people.
Well, it is Friday. Nothing bad happens on a Friday.
Oh, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding, man. I love a good Friday because I'm off all weekend this weekend, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
So Memorial Day to remember in quarantine.
Exactly. I'm down here in my basement.
Well, you did barbecue. I mean, even if you're roughing it by yourself, you're going to barbecue this weekend, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I definitely am.
What are you making?
I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to do a Boston butt in the smoker, or
wow.
I may do a London broil. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, my late father loved his London broil. He would cook. He would done mahi, the fish, were his two signature dishes. You know.
Oh yeah. I love fish. I've smoked some catfish before, and it was good.
Did you catch it yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, I've always wondered what part of the catfish do you eat? Do you cook the head? Some people do the head, some don't.
No, I just fillet the fish. And like I say, I don't cook the head because I'm not eating it while it's looking at me.
Yeah, that serves me too, you know.
Yeah, but the freshest I've ever had was I have a pond at my other place, and a friend was over there with me one day. We were fishing, and he had his ex-girlfriend with him, who he was dating at the time, and she said, "I've never eaten catfish before." Well, you know, we got to fix that. So we reached in his bucket. We had caught one, and it was about a 5-pound catfish. It was a nice size one. So we got it, and we walked up to my cook shack, and while I got my flat top ready, he started filleting it. So I heated my griddle and got some lemon pepper seasoning, and he finished doing one side of it, and I put that part on the griddle. The other half of the fish was still on the table moving and being filleted while I was cooking half of it.
He was moving while he was filleting it?
Yeah, you don't get...
Oh, that's mean.
You don't get fresher than that.
I would prefer they died of natural causes before, you know what I mean? That's the one part. I mean, as a kid when I fished, I always felt bad when, when it came time to prepare the fish, I always felt bad about that.
Yeah, you get used to it. Is it
a man-made lake?
It is.
Wow. Yeah, to me, that's the exciting part. I mean, does it attract much mosquitoes? Do you get a lot of mosquitoes?
Not a lot. I mean, not any more than anywhere here in Georgia, but, you figure our mosquitoes live on Marlboros and, whiskey blood, so.
But I've spent summers in Iowa and Michigan, and the man-made lake is such a big deal there. The lake parties and everything, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, ours is about 2.5 to 3 acres, and, the way our place is situated, if you don't know it's there, then you will never know it's down there.
That should come in handy during the zombie apocalypse.
Definitely. I tell you, I'm actually a prepper. I'm not one of the crazy preppers.
No, you're an EMT, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I believe if the government wants to come get me, they're going to come get me no matter what I've got. So, but I prep for things like this virus and hurricanes, things like that. But I'm also very security minded. So at my place there, I made what's called a range card. and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. But it's,
no, please.
The snipers use them, and different marksmen use them where you can look at this card if you're at a certain place, and you have places marked off, and you know exactly how far something is away if they're at that point.
Wow.
So that you can get an accurate shot.
Wow. No, you have a military background, right?
Well, my dad was military.
Yeah, well, you went in, because you're an EMT, so you think quickly and you act quickly. I mean, what is the number one skill you need as an EMT?
Sense of humor. That's a definite one. But I'm just being able to solve problems quick and think outside the box. I mean...
Now, are you a fast eater?
A fast eater? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because my mom was an emergency room nurse, and every nurse I've known since, of course, my mom, they would always eat very quickly because they never knew when they were going to be able to finish their food, you know?
Yeah, eat now, taste later.
Well, yeah. Eat now, taste later. That's a great phrase.
Yep. Yep. I used to carry MREs behind the seat of my ambulance.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I just had a friend of mine that she gave me some stuff to put in my locker there that is amazing. It's like gold. It's from an MRE, and there's two things. There's two kind of people in the military, and as far as MREs go, there are the peanut butter and the cracker people, and then there are also the wheat snack bread and jalapeno cheese spread people. I am a wheat snack bread and jalapeno cheese spread person, and they gave me about 3 each of those. Oh, it's amazing. It made my whole day. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask, when did you become a grill guru? When did you start cooking meat like you do? Well,
I've always liked to grill and smoke and all that, but when I had my strokes about almost 5 years ago, I was at home, and it didn't get me physically, it got me mentally a lot, and it made me stutter and things like that. And a good friend of mine, Blake Harrison, I've known him for 40 years, and we've got another friend who loves to hunt, but he doesn't like wild meat. And he would hunt, and he would kill wild hogs or deer, and he would call us and say, "I got one, come get it." Well,
wow.
Well, I'm not going to turn down free meat to begin with. So,
and a wild hog, no less.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you cook a hog? I have to ask.
Oh, we'll get to that. But we would go get it, and we would clean it, and we would cut it up normally, like just cut off the hindquarters, the shoulders, the bacon, all that good stuff, and you just get tired of doing the same old thing every time. With the deer, you can only grind up so much hamburger.
Wow.
So I started learning how to make different sausages. Got the equipment to do that with. I do brats, andouille, pepperoni, hot Italian, maple breakfast, and I do a venison pastrami that is amazing. And I'll do summer sausage, things like that, and it just, I did it out of necessity because, one, we had so much meat that, you got to do something with it. And also it helped occupy my mind and gave me something to focus on, and it helped heal me. So that's why this thing's called smoked meat. But now
wow.
I just love cooking on my smokers.
Interesting. You know what I mean? I mean, it just, by doing it that way, it just helps you get going with things, huh?
Yeah. Yep. That's what one of the things.
And like kielbasa. Have you ever made kielbasa?
I've never made kielbasa before. Now I've cooked about 1.5 tons of it, but I've never made it yet. But I want to.
How do you do the sweetened kielbasa? That's something it's never tasted right to me since I left Michigan.
Mm-hmm. How do you get the sweetened kielbasa?
Yeah, it's just so sweet and tangy.
Oh, excuse me. Hang on just a second. Let me think on that one. Now the sweet probably is from a little bit of brown sugar in there.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. That's my guess. Now, don't quote
But
me.
they would sell sweet kielbasa on a stick, and it just impressed the hell out of me. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, now the tangy part, probably a bit of apple cider vinegar or some kind of vinegar.
Interesting. I never knew, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, though. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, I've got to learn how to make kielbasa. I haven't made sausage in a while, and it's getting time to do that. So I need to learn to do kielbasa.
Yeah, I love a good kielbasa, a good sausage, you know. And I like all sorts of meats, but that's always been the best to me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and you know, I think some of my favorite, you know, when I interviewed Robert Wool, he actually asked me a question because he kind of turned the interview around on me and started interviewing me, which was awesome.
But by the way, it shows he's a clever and good person that he was interested enough in you. I mean, when you're talking to someone interesting like you are, being an EMT and a cooker and all this. Well, tell your story, and I'll get back to that. I'm sorry, go on.
But that's okay. He's got a question he asks everybody when he's on their show is, what is your death row meal?
Wow, that's a great answer, actually.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that is so deep because that's a really good question. And I think mine changes from day to day. But I love brisket. I love doing brisket with a good coffee rub on it.
Wow, that sounds pretty damn good, you know?
Yeah.
For me, it would be like, my sister makes an amazing shrimp pasta, and every time I'm in Seattle, it's my uncle's favorite, it's my favorite, my sister will make that, and it's like, it's just lip-smackingly good, you know? She'll make this shrimp and clam pasta, and it's just so damn good. I mean, that would probably be my go-to with a Saunders bumpy cake for my final dessert, you know?
Ah, nice. Well,
what's your final dessert? You have one thing to eat before you go in the chair. What would it
be? For my dessert?
Yeah.
My dessert would probably be a good lava cake.
Oh, lava cake is sort of like bumpy cake.
Yep. Yep. Now, so you spend a lot of time in Detroit, right?
Yes, sir. That's where I'm from.
I have a name or one word that will probably make your mouth water.
Lay it on me, baby.
Kogels.
Say again?
Kogels.
Tokels. I'm not sure.
Kogels,
hey, Don, did we ever eat at Tokels?
No, it's the Red Hots and the pickle bologna.
Oh, you know what? Well, we ate that, but I don't think we ate that brand.
Oh man.
There were 5 kids.
Yeah.
So Mom and Dad, I don't recognize that. I don't recognize that brand at all. And we are very big on Michigan, you know.
Yeah, that's
Southern Maine and all this other good stuff. Twin Pines milk, Town Club pop, and of course Faygo, and then Saunders for dessert.
Oh yeah, I actually had.
Wow. And then of course kielbasa. We usually ate at Kowalski's, you know, the out of Hamtramck. When there was like a big meal for my grandmother or something. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So what is your go-to meal? What is your all-time favorite meal?
My all-time, I love doing lasagna. Yep, lasagna.
You broke up. I'm sorry.
I love doing lasagna.
Oh, lasagna, really?
Whenever I put my mind to doing a good lasagna, it takes me all day because I make everything from scratch with it. I mean, nothing's from a can or a jar. Everything is handmade. I do the cheese, I do the sauce, I do the pasta, I grind the meat, everything.
Wow. And when you do you think it's a sin to have spaghetti without meatballs?
It is not. It is not. I mean, everybody can't be perfect. And I grew up poor, man. We had spaghetti without meat sometimes.
Wow, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That was always my favorite meal, spaghetti. I don't know why. You know what I mean? But sometimes with pasta, sometimes not. But sometimes with meatballs, sometimes without. Mm-hmm. But if you make a good al dente pasta, and you've got a good Trader Joe's sauce, to me, it's the best in the world.
Oh,
know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell you, I do I saw it, Jon Favreau did a movie called Made a while back.
Yeah, about the hitman and the boxer.
And, when he's sitting there cooking for his daughter, and he cooks the pasta puttanesca. I love doing that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's a real recipe he's doing.
Yeah. There's a real recipe, and it's really good, and it's simple.
Wow. Okay, I'll take notes next time it's on. It's on IFC like once a month.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. And,
wow.
I'll tell you, if you are doing any kind of fish or chicken, if you're doing it in the oven, here's what you need to put on your fish or chicken.
Yeah, lay it on me.
It's a simple recipe, but it makes you look like a freaking genius. Either get canned peaches or fresh ones, either one, and puree them, and then take an equal part of heavy cream and put in with it, and 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes.
Peaches and red pepper?
Mm-hmm. Trust me. Just one little teaspoon of them, not a lot of them, just to give it a little bit of bite. And boil it so it reduces down to about half, and put that on your fish or your chicken when it's done.
Wow! And you said pizza as well. Put it on your pizza as well.
No, I've never done it on pizza.
Interesting.
But yeah.
And that just opens up that just opens it up, huh? It gives it a little more flavor.
Yeah. And it's a
I'm
wonderful sauce.
salivating. I probably should have eaten before we did this.
And another good thing you can put on pork or chicken, either one when you're cooking it, is it's a simple rub. It's equal parts of chili powder and country time lemonade mix.
Really?
Yeah, because the sugar in that lemonade mix actually caramelizes while it's cooking, and the chili powder
so it gives it kind of a glaze.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful thing.
Interesting. That's well. Now, as an EMT, when you're on duty and you're on one of your long shifts, where is your go-to to eat during your shift?
Well, I work night shift in a small town, so I don't have a lot of good choices. But for the last 30 years, my go-to's always been a Waffle House.
Wow, that's right. Waffle House is 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And oddly enough, 20 years ago, I got certified as a Waffle House grill operator.
Did you really?
I did. I actually worked part-time at a Waffle House.
I think the last Waffle House I ate at was I was taking my grandmother to visit my parents in Tucson, Arizona. And 2 hookers got into a fist fight in the middle of the restaurant. And my poor elderly grandmother, it was very strange. You know? I know, I heard you. You know, sorry, my brother was saying there was another good one in Key West before our family cruise, which was really good, you know? I do. How was Waffle House coffee? I liked it, but I haven't had it in a while.
It's the same. It's probably the same batch. Probably the same pot.
Wow. Well, yeah, but it's good. It's good and strong.
It's awesome.
Coffee. It keeps you awake, you know?
Oh, you have to chew it up really good, but it's great.
Smart ass.
Now, I'll tell you, I had this stuff. I was actually a certified clown also, and I do magic. And
really?
Yeah, and there's some stuff called aqua slush, which when you put it in liquid, it immediately gels it. And I took a little bit of it, and I cut open a Splenda pack, and dumped the Splenda out and put this in there, and I glued the pack back closed. And I went into a Waffle House one night with some friends of mine, and I made a big deal out of wanting my coffee good and fresh. And she brought my coffee over to me, and I emptied my Splenda pack in there with that stuff in it and stood my spoon up in it, and it just gelled around the spoon. And I called her over there. I said, I thought this coffee was fresh. She said, it is. I just made it. And I handed it to her with a spoon sticking up in it, and she's like, holy shit. But we explained to her what we did. We couldn't be that mean to her, and we tipped her really well, but it was so funny. I
was going to say, yeah, the one thing you never do is send food back. That's the surest way you'll never get clean food again. And speaking as a former waiter.
Yep. Oh, yeah. If people knew what goes on in kitchens a lot of times, holy cow. Whew.
We had a family friend, and she'd make a big deal about complaining about the food and sending it back, thinking it made her look sophisticated. And I'm thinking, that's the surest way to never get clean food ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you ever seen the movie Waiting?
Don't describe the scene, but yes, I have seen Waiting, and I know the scene in general, and I assure you, going back to my high school days working at Wendy's, there's a lot of truth in that.
Yes, there is.
And you never order food just before closing time at any fast food place. You
Hell
know?
no. No, I used to know.
I remember a friend of mine. He dumped. Never mind. No, he dumped the chicken, the powder. You know, the powder you roll the raw chicken in.
Yeah.
He dumped it, and somebody ordered chicken at like 5 to 2. You know, when we were in high school. And he rolled their chicken on top of the trash, and it was. I could never eat a Wendy's chicken sandwich after that.
Oh, man. Oh,
These poor people had no idea they were ordering a chicken that was the raw chicken was being made on top of crusted cheese and everything else in this giant industrial-sized trash can.
Always take care of the people who touch your food.
I'm telling you. Anytime you yell at food or send it back, you best just get the check because you're not going to get anything worth putting in your mouth.
Exactly. Now I'll tell you, I saw something on a movie a little while back. We actually talked about the movie the other day when we were talking, and it was in Bluff Creek, and it was a Bigfoot burger.
Bigfoot country.
Yeah, and it was a Bigfoot burger, and it was actually what I saw in the movie looked pretty cool because it was shaped like a foot.
Oh, were you watching the Bobcat Goldthwait movie?
I was.
Yeah, I like it. The movie is not that exciting because you don't see the creature, but I love his walking to a Bluff Creek and Willow Creek is really cool. You know.
Yeah, and you know the Bigfoot sounds on there. You know he did those.
Oh, he did those himself.
Yeah, he did those. The howl makes me really proud because he did really good with that. But he did all of those.
Well, Bigfoot's been my jam. I mean, there were 5 kids in my family, and my parents, growing up, our parents took us camping in like 47 out of 50 states, you know?
Yeah. Now, I remember you telling me that you'd gotten John Green's book as a kid. My first. You know what? Because when we went my grandmother and my aunt and uncle and cousins all lived in Seattle, and my parents, I don't know how they took 5 kids, a dog, across country every summer, but we went to see my grandmother in Seattle, and my brother and I, they were rerunning one of those Mysterious Monsters type documentaries on Seattle TV. Mm-hmm. And in the Pike Place, in Pioneer Square, there was a Bigfoot museum, and we got hanked, and our Uncle Jerry and my dad took us to, and we were totally hanked on Bigfoot, and my grandmother got us the Sasquatch. What was it called? Oh hell!
Hey, Pat, what was it? Brad, what was that book called? The Sasquatch Files, I think.
I think so. John Green's book.
State.
Yeah, I think it was that one. John Green wrote it. I remember that.
Yeah, John Green wrote it. He also did a great one called Apes in America, which is really good.
Mm-hmm. You know who my Sasquatch author was after John Green? Marion T. Place.
Wow.
Yep. My parents.
Well, Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son, who wrote World War Z. He just wrote a big new Bigfoot book.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think it's called De-Evolution.
Uh-huh.
And, it was supposed to come out with great fanfare this month, but apparently something else happened in the world.
Yeah.
But, I loved World War Z. I loved how, I loved World War Z, and part of it is set near me. There's a big battle in the book that takes place in Claremont, California, which is about 6 minutes away.
Okay.
And to me, Bigfoot's always fascinated me. Camping where we did, and in Bigfoot country, when my grandmother gave us the Sasquatch Files, my brother Donald would read it. Anytime there was a Bigfoot sighting and we were going through by car, it was really exciting. We'd beg our parents to stop and look around.
Yeah. Now, how interesting did camping get once you read Albert Ostman's story?
Austin's story is pretty amazing. We went through his part. I think his happened in B.C., right?
I think so.
He was the guy who claimed he was abducted by a Sasquatch, and I remember one of the cooler stories he tells is the Bigfoot drank scalding coffee right out of the pot. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's how he got away, because Bigfoot drank the coffee out of the pot and started screaming and trying to cool down, and he took off.
Wow. Yeah, because I had the opportunity. I talked to the UW professor, Grover Krantz. I talked to Grover Krantz, and I talked to John Green. I looked them both up as a kid and talked to them on the phone. Grover Krantz was this great, eccentric, wonderful University of Washington professor. He believed in Bigfoot, and he thought you should kill one to prove its existence. And John Green felt the same way. Mm-hmm. They said killing one would save the rest of the herd. I remember, and John Green had a great theory. John Green's theory was, since it happened 40 years ago this week, we can bring the conversation full circle. John Green argued California sightings and Washington and Oregon sightings of Bigfoot became more erratic after Mount St. Helens exploded. Mm-hmm. His theory is that the reason you never caught them is they were migrational between those three states. And when Mount St. Helens blew, it kind of fractured their society. I don't know if it's true or not, but I always thought it was an interesting theory.
That's a really good theory.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he said if they traveled like birds and everything else at certain times of the year, that's why some people would run into them in a certain area and other people wouldn't,
Yeah. That's pretty damn cool. I've never thought about that. That's a good theory.
And John Green told me that, and I remember camping at KOAs in Oregon and stuff, and, you're like 7 and you're terrified that Bigfoot's going to tear your family apart.
Yeah.
I mean, once you've seen stuff like the documentaries and the Boggy Creek and Bee Creature from Black Lake and all that great stuff,
Yep, and There's Something in the Woods. That was
what do you think of, what's your favorite Bigfoot movies? I really enjoy Abominable by Ryan Schifrin, and of course Boggy Creek I think is the ne plus ultra.
Oh yeah, Boggy Creek, man, that's the gold standard. That you can't talk about Bigfoot without Boggy Creek.
Sanchez, the co-director of Blair Witch Project, he and Myrick told me Boggy Creek is what made them. He said in the beginning Blair Witch was going to be a Bigfoot movie. Mm-hmm. And then they said, well, why don't we create our own mythology? And you see, that worked out very well for them.
Yeah, because what's funny about the Blair Witch is when it first came out, I was in a really small town in South Georgia. We didn't have a theater there, and we didn't get out to them much. And I remember A&E had a story had a special about the Blair Witch. And
yeah, Sci-Fi ran that. They directed that. If you mean the Blair Witch documentary that ran on Sci-Fi,
yeah,
I thought that was better than their movie.
Yeah, and this thing, at first, when I first saw it, I'm like, holy shit, they found this and did this, because this is one of the first found footage movies there was.
It was outside of the 70s Blair, the found footage movies. That is the found footage movie,
Yeah, and I'm thinking, damn, man, this is wow. How have I never heard of this? And then when I figured it out, I'm like, well, I've never heard of it because I'm a jackass and I fell for this. They were so great at it.
You fell for it, but everybody did. It was like Paranormal Activity. Everybody fell for it.
Yeah, and it was just so awesome, and I still love watching it.
Yeah, no. I think the original is too herky-jerky of Blair Witch, but I think their documentary, where they're literally trying to recreate the look and feel of Boggy Creek, I think the documentary, the mockumentary they made for Sci-Fi and A&E, it's so much better than the movie. It's the best thing about Blair Witch,
Yeah, and it was awesome. The marketing for that movie was just so great.
Agreed.
But my favorite Bigfoot movie, like I say, I love the Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monsters. That's the one that got me kicked off when I was a kid. And
that was one of the gateway drugs. They used to run that on Saturday afternoons on Detroit TV on one of the horror shows.
Yeah.
And I watched that, Boggy Creek, and Creature from Black Lake, and they all just scared the hell out of me,
Yep, exactly. And I tell you, I love that. I loved that one and Boggy Creek. They're my top two. Once again,
next time you watch Mysterious Monsters, realize that's Richard Keel, Jaws from James Bond, as the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I found that out. When I did a commercial for Coca-Cola with my brother Don. and a guy, an amazing guy named Tom Berman, did our makeup. Tom and his wife Barry and his crew. And it was all these seasoned, grizzled vets who'd worked on every movie you'd ever loved for the last 40 years, these guys had worked on, you know. He did the teeth for James Bond, Berman did. He did the teeth and helmet for Phantom of the Paradise. And when you see Mysterious Monsters, he'd done the Bigfoot. And Tom Berman created that when you do a creature movie. And I actually wore his effect firsthand when Don and I were these cavemen in a Coca-Cola commercial. He came up with this thing where it was like clear tape with the hair already in it. And he'd run it over your arm, and suddenly you'd have a hairy arm without sitting there for 5 hours while they put down glue and rubber and everything else. He just wrapped this bandage around your arm, and suddenly you had hairy caveman arms.
Nice.
You know, and he did all the effects of Mysterious Monsters. And there's the recreation where Bigfoot is going to grab a Boy Scout sleeping in, I think, Oklahoma, in Kentucky or something. Do you know what I'm talking about in Mysterious Monsters?
I know what you're talking about.
That documentary where Bigfoot comes across a Boy Scout troop and he starts walking amongst them?
Yeah, I remember that part.
That's Richard Keel. That's Richard Keel and makeup by Tom Berman, which I thought was kind of amazing.
That is very cool. But I love those.
It's scary. It's scary. You want scary, you know? Oh,
exactly, man. That's the fun part of it. And I like There's Something in the Woods. That one's a great one. And
what year was that made? I'm trying to think if I've seen that one or not.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look that one up. But it's on Prime right now.
I went through a bunch of Bigfoot movies on Prime. Abominable's great. Tiffany Shepis Tretta, who was a guest on my podcast, Jeff and Jankiewicz. Wonderful scream queen, wonderful actress, wonderful human being, a great mother and everything else. She has one of the weirdest, most horrible death scenes I've ever seen in a Bigfoot movie. It's great. I'd love to tell you what it was, but it's easier for you to watch Abominable. Abominable, it was made about 2010. It's a great Bigfoot movie. The Bigfoot's great, by Kristen Tinsley. And Tiffany has one of the great all-time deaths by Bigfoot I've ever seen in the movie.
That's Something in the Woods was 2015. I thought it was older than that.
You said it was older than that because that's one of the ones I did not. I'm trying to think if I saw that. Yeah. That's one of the. I think it's a 70s period piece, right? It's set in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, it is. Right. As a matter of fact, right after Jerry Cruz finds the tracks. It's not long after that.
You know what? That might have been. I went on a Amazon Prime-a-thon. I went on an Amazon Prime Bigfoot-a-thon. And I looked at, I tried to watch as many as I could, even the really horrible ones. But I thought Abominable was great. I thought Abominable, I loved Abominable. Nightclaw's not so good, but Reb Brown is good in it. Big Legend is good. Have you seen Big Legend yet?
I have not.
Okay, Big Legend is really good. It's Amanda Wyss from the first girl Freddy Krueger kills in Nightmare on Elm Street. Amanda Wyss shot in Washington State. That one's pretty good. The Bigfoot's good. It's scary. Mine is now on there. If you watch Hoax,
yeah,
the real Bigfoot.
I know somebody that was on Hoax.
Well, now you know too.
Who played the Shape.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this kills me. My credit in the movie is Bigfoot, but on my IMDb it says The Shape because before they sold the movie, they did credits.
Yeah.
The producer basically came, the company that picked it up told them, listen, none of this shape jazz. If that's Bigfoot, I want to see Bigfoot in the credits. So the greatest credit I've ever had is Bigfoot, Pat Jankiewicz, which thrilled me to pieces, considering I spent most of my formative youth terrified in a tent every summer that Bigfoot was going to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And as
a child, I always rationalized I would escape while he was tearing my family to pieces.
Yeah, I was looking up the IMDb and I said, they really called him The Shape. That's awesome. You know what? They called me The Shape when we were shooting it, but the credit now is Bigfoot. And I would love them to change it because I'm Bigfoot and I want to take great pride in being Bigfoot. Yep. Get with IMDb. They'll change it.
Yeah, well, you trust me. I've asked. I've been waiting. there's nothing better than to be a Bigfoot on a fog-shrouded Colorado mountaintop with your head under your arm, waiting to jump out at the girl behind a tree. That is life as good as it gets. I realize the reason Bigfoot is so sore in these movies is it's so wet and damp, and he's naked, basically.
That could be why he's mad. I'll tell you, I think
Being a Sasquatch, man.
I think I know why Bigfoot's really mad.
Why?
Bigfoot's mad because all those vacation pictures turn out blurry.
He's the only one who believes in himself. I've heard them all. Well, and I mean, to me, the best Bigfoot film is always going to be the Patterson-Gimlin footage, you know?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, that is utterly terrifying, you know? And I mean, every 5 years, some Weisenheimer, oh, it's all fake. And listen, I've been in a bunch of film sets. I've been on a bunch of films. If you're in a movie, you've got a ton of pictures of yourself with whatever they don't want you to see. Mm-hmm. And just once, if you show me a picture of a guy in a Bigfoot costume with his head off smoking a cigarette, I'll say, okay, maybe it's fake. But everybody who claims they worked on it, not one of them has a picture, screw you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, really. To me, I mean, everybody says, well, it's shaking, it's blurry. Good God, look what he filmed it with. From the back of a freaking horse that just fell with him.
Right.
You know, just really. Is that the best you got? It's shaky and blurry? It's a fucking Bigfoot.
And frame 245, 257, that frame was looking right at you. Oh, man, that is scary stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it just, that, when I saw that as a kid, that just, it's still, I got goosebumps right now talking about it.
I know, that one frame, and you just watch it trot up the hill, yikes. Yeah, and
So have you ever been to Willow Creek?
I have never been there. That's one of my bucket list things.
Okay, you know what? I'll make you a deal. There's something I've been promising to do for years.
Mm-hmm.
Willow Creek has Bigfoot days on Labor Day in August, late August, early September.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Labor Day weekend. They do something. It's in Mysterious Monsters. It's a real event. Go to my page. I've liked it on my page. It's called Bigfoot Days. They do it every year. They have a celebration of all things Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot jazz band and everything else.
Sweet.
And it's a weekend devoted to all of this stuff. So you should do it once. If that's your bucket list, you gotta do it when it's a big weekend for it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to, because I mean, my goal is I want to go out to California and spend about 3 weeks, and just. Mm-hmm. I'd love to go there, and I'd love to do some comedy at some of the big clubs out there that I probably couldn't even get into, let alone on stage. But I'd love to give it a shot.
Oh, like the Comedy Store?
Yeah, I'd love to do the store.
I did the 40th anniversary of that. A friend of mine was performing, Tim Thomerson, so he brought me along, and it was just amazing. I mean, everybody was there. Everybody is anybody. You walk around Burbank, you'll run into Jay Leno, who's an incredibly gracious, nice fellow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But to see the world-famous Comedy Store with all the greats running around, Belzer's over here, that guy's over there, it was just an amazing experience, you know?
Yeah, well, you just brought up a name that I actually saw him in a movie the other day. I watched him in Car Wash, Tim Thomerson.
Oh, I love Tim Thomerson.
I've got to know.
You know what? My favorite quote about him is they call him the Harrison Ford. One of the papers on here once declared him the Harrison Ford of B-movies. He was Bruce Campbell before Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
He's this tough, square-jawed, funny guy because he's a comedian. When you see him playing tough, half the time he's joshing, which makes it even more interesting, you know?
Is he nearly as cool in person as he is on anything he's in?
To be honest with you, I find him even cooler. Even cooler. He's so gracious, so funny, so cool. His son's a producer. His son Patrick is a really nice guy as well. He's everything you want him to be. He's cool. That voice is real. That voice isn't put on. He looks like a friggin' superhero, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He's funny. He's cool.
And you ask him about any of his projects, and he starts telling you stories, and you laugh so hard when he starts telling you doorman stories or transers. It's just great stuff, you know?
Oh, man, well, I will make you a deal right here, right now.
Sure.
If you can get him for my podcast, I have got something sitting 3 feet from me on my speaker that's one of my prized possessions I will send to you.
I will ask the great man.
It is a Jack Link's beef jerky giant Sasquatch mug.
No, really?
Yes.
My friend Doug, I was so jealous. My friend Doug does those in those commercials.
Uh-huh.
In one of those, another Bigfoot commercial brought me in. They wanted to talk to me about being the Bigfoot for the commercial, and I'm thinking, oh my God. And I could not fit. The animatronic head was made for a smaller actor, and I could not get it over my head.
Damn.
I remember being heartbroken. I thought, one, they hired a shrimp who couldn't fit the costume. Two, I was too big as the Bigfoot to hire for the spot, which killed me.
Oh, man. But yes, this thing will be boxed up and sent straight out there.
Well, you know what? I will ask the great man himself. You know, you had Robert Will on the show, so let me put it to him and see if he wants to do it. I think it'd be great. You know,
oh, that would be amazing. That's one
I mean,
thing.
he's an incredibly cool dude, and he's got an amazing body of work, and he's just one of the most decent people. I've always liked him. He's in my Hulk book because he was one of the guys who helped kill the Hulk. You know, and he's not the one where they kill the Hulk. He battles the Hulk in the Return of the Incredible Hulk Returns. Mm-hmm. I did a book on the Hulk, and Thomason laughed so hard when I asked him to be in it. He goes, I barely remember doing that one. And then, of course, once you sit down with him, he gives you all the great stories.
Yeah. So that's one neat thing about doing this podcast is things kind of snowball.
Yes.
You know, I talked to one person, and they're like, well, I know this one. Let me get them, and let me talk to them. And all of a sudden, you know, this thing has grown so much over the last 2 months even. You know, I'm
telling you, it's like detective work.
I've not got the Rogan deal yet.
One good again, a great answer to a question will lead to another great question. You know, it's like tennis. If you can return the ball well, you're off. You know, and when somebody gives you a great answer, or you discover something you didn't know about this person or that person, and again, I do these books. I do these movie and TV books, and I was lucky in that. If I got one guest for another book, you know, for another project, you would find that, oh, they're connected. You mentioned interviewing John Hancock.
Yeah.
I was the first guy to really get John Hancock to talk about his admittedly painful Jaws 2 experience, you know. And I had John and his wife, Dorothy, who's unfortunately not doing very well right now, but I had him and his wife, Dorothy, on I interviewed both of them. And Dorothy, while I was talking, we did the interview respectfully covering all the Jaws 2 stuff, but then Dorothy starred in the second Incredible Hulk episode, so I got to ask her about that.
Oh,
you know?
You know, I remember when I was a kid, man, the Hulk was part of my Friday night. The Hulk and the
Hulk, you know, basically trying to keep the TV on Hulk after Muppet Show was always the big challenge in my house.
Yeah, and we had the Dukes of Hazzard, and you know, I've recently had the privilege of interviewing Sonny Schroyer, who played Enos on the Dukes.
I did not know that. I've never met Sonny. I know I did an extra gig on one of the Return of the Dukes of Hazzards, and it was shooting on my birthday, and they just needed a couple big Russian guys. It was me and my brother, and he had us on the show. They had us on the show, and I whispered to John. John is incredibly nice. I whispered, hey, it's my birthday, and him and Tom Opak go, don't worry, we're going to make sure they wrap in about 10 minutes. Because there were a bunch of people coming over. You know, it was my birthday.
Yeah.
So they literally called, they made sure to call rap for the night so I can make it home for the party I put up before this gig came along, you know?
I'll tell you, man, he was so nice. As a matter of fact, he just sent me a autographed 8x10. That was so nice of him. We've talked a couple of times since then. He is. Did
you talk to him about playing Blair Bryant in Forrest Gump?
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to him about that, about the longest yard, about smoking.
Yeah, people forget he's the longest yard, you know?
Yeah. And he's like me, he's a Georgia boy. He's from down in Valdosta and just a great guy.
Well, most Southern guys are. You're really polite people, you know?
Mm-hmm. I tell you, I was raised, if I wasn't, I was going to get whooped. You know, it was what it was. Not beaten. The difference between a beating and a spanking.
Well, to me, it's fun because when I was doing a book like that, I remember I found some actors from The Incredible Hulk, and there was a guy I could not find, Bill Bixby's agent, manager, and I interviewed an actress from the show, and I realized her husband of 30 years was Bill Bixby's manager. And he was a tough one. He didn't want to go on the record, but luckily she was kind of pushing him in the room. She's like, honey, you can't not tell the kid what he wants to know. And so she kind of bullied him into giving me a good interview. But when one thing leads to another like that, it's a lot of fun and it's great, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I never know what's going to happen next, you know? I have an idea.
Well, again, if you know your stuff, the hard part about an interview is you want to make sure you have enough material and you want to make sure it goes the right direction and all this other stuff, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, when I used to do radio, and even when I started doing this, I would, kind of put on my little radio voice and, so, where are you from? And that kind of stuff. And to me, that's real stiff. I like doing it just like this. We're two guys talking.
Right. It's folksy, it's comfortable, anything you want to talk about is fair game. Yeah. I'm a journalist. I do a lot of interviews, and I have nothing but sympathy for the person asking the questions. And when it's somebody like you, with so many diverse interests, and you're a paramedic, I'd rather interview you. I'd rather hear your stories,
Oh, man, when you get ready to do your show, holler at me. I'll come on happily.
Yeah, please.
Do it.
When this ends, when at least we get the green light to go back to work at Chaotic Radio, our station, we'll make you a phone, or we'll put you on the air, or if you have a two-way, something, a Zoom or something we can work out. But to me, your stories on this sort of thing, you're a paramedic in the time of a pandemic. That's hardcore. To me, that's an interesting, and if you're writing a book, if you ever decide to write a book, this is a hell of a final chapter or middle chapter.
Oh, man, you ain't kidding. And the weird thing is, the people who do this, not just me, but everybody that's out there on the front lines right now, none of us really think a lot about it. It is what it is. It's, people say, well, they signed up to take these risks. I didn't sign up to take a risk. I signed up to take care of people, and it's just part of it, and it sucks, but, it is what it is. It's if I don't, who's going to? And
just be careful, you know what I mean? Do what you do, but take every respect to keep from endangering yourself anywhere or anything,
Oh, yeah, I wear my equipment everywhere I go. I'm taking care of me first. But you know what's really sad about this whole thing? And it's not just medics and EMTs, it's nurses and everybody. A month and a half ago, we were all heroes.
Yeah.
Dude, I almost didn't have to pay for a damn meal anywhere. I could have eaten free everywhere.
Wow.
You name it, I could have eaten free. I still paid because, everybody's hurting right now.
Right.
And in this short period of time, because things are slowing down a little bit, even though people are still getting sick and things are still happening, we're having people that get furloughed. The system that I work for...
They're furloughing paramedics?
Well, they haven't gotten paramedics yet, but I know the system that I work for, it's a big hospital system, just furloughed 1,000 people till August.
1,000 people in this sort of, you guys are...
And
you guys are pretty much the thin line between us and everything happening, all the bad stuff. So I'm not happy to hear this.
Yeah, and it's not just ours. It's it taxes all the resources, and I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. It's a business. We're a nonprofit, which it is what it is. But I really hate it because.
Well, just be careful. again, a pandemic, man. You're facing something that hasn't come along in 102 years, which is really terrifying.
Well, you know, I actually have a theory on what started this.
Please.
Now, this is just my personal theory, and it's the way my luck runs. Before all this started, I have a friend who, he's in passing, you know, we've been comedians for a long time, and I met him about 10 years ago, and, you know, we never kept in touch, but if we saw each other, you know, we'd talk for a few minutes, and how you doing? And he saw my YouTube videos and sent me an email with a script in it. And it had a couple of sides for a couple of parts, and he said, I want you to audition for this pilot that I'm working on. So I filmed my auditions and sent them in, and I haven't, what in the world?
Hey, where'd you go?
Oh, I don't know.
Go on. Your friend has a theory. What was it?
But yeah, but no, he you know, sent me the sides for this pilot and asked me to audition. So I filmed my parts for these 2 roles, and I sent them in. And my theory is that I got the roles or got at least one of the roles because everything's shut down now. That's just my luck. Yep. So I caused the pandemic. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weird out here because I had like 7 auditions lined up, my brother and I, for commercials, and they all just flatlined as soon as this thing started.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the entertainment industry is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what all happens with it. I mean, it's going to get back to normal. I mean, things are going to get made. But I've got to feel
my agent left the office, and my agent's literally, so literally, I can't even self-tape for stuff because my agents have literally closed up the office to wait until this thing blows over.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. You know, comedians right now, a lot of them are writing. You know, you got a lot of people who are, you know, like down here in my basement where my studio is, I've got a green screen. I got different backdrops and lights and all that, where I can tape myself doing stand-up and put it out there. And a lot of people are doing that. But to me, I can't do it because I feed off the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with wrestling or boxing or sporting events and comedians and performers, live performances. You get strength from that, and not being able to do that is crazy.
Yeah, it's really strange. You know, when I do my characters, I do deal with not having a crowd because it's basically everything I do is improv and it's all one take.
Wow.
The only character I didn't know who it was going to be, or that I knew who it was going to be before I started, was the clown. The clown, you will love the clown, I have a feeling. His name is Murray. And this is Murray's voice. Now,
Murray the clown, interesting.
Yeah, well, when I started being a clown, I actually did it to teach fire safety to kids. And that was my original clown's voice and name. But the voice lends itself to swearing so easy. I mean, to tell you, I just didn't want to get up on stage and go, okay, stop, drop, and roll, you little bastards. So I changed it, but Murray has always been with me. And I decided one day to do a video. I said, this guy's going to be the worst clown ever. And in the video, I do magic, and one of them I do balloons because I have about 300 different balloons that I can do. And but in both of them, he drinks about a fifth of bourbon through the whole video. Just chugs it. Now, for the record, it's tea in the bourbon bottle because if I drank like Murray, I would die. But he is such an awesome clown. He does it with a cigar in his mouth the whole time, and you just got to see him. But around Christmas time, I actually did a 30-minute Christmas special with him and some of the other characters.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, and I love doing that kind of stuff. But, you know, the other characters, I didn't know who they were going to be until I put on the wig and the mustache or whatever I had with them. And then they just kind of came out. And I love my characters.
Wow.
I've got one his name's Wayne. And Wayne he's got a big red mustache and kind of a red mullet kind of hair, you know, kind of 70s hair. And a Hawaiian shirt, and he lets the hamburger meat hang out the shirt, you know, the chest hair. And this here's Wayne's voice right here, baby. Wayne's all about the love. But had a friend send me a lollipop off of Amazon. It's called the Satan's Toe. And I eat hot things. I love peppers. But this thing is pure Carolina Reaper extract. Now, the Carolina Reaper is one of the hottest peppers out right now. It's over 2 million Scoville units, where jalapeno is 2,000. This had pure extract in it, which made it about 9 million.
Right.
And she wanted me to do a video of Wayne eating this thing while he read The Little Engine That Could. The Little Engine Couldn't. Holy shit, that was the hottest thing I've ever had in my life. It was like sticking my tongue to the cigarette lighter of a 78 Pinto.
Wow.
Oh, it was bad. But it was such a great video. Yep. And I did another.
Fascinating. You know, but you're able to self-tape. I mean, I know some people are self-taping commercials. You can see that in the new Progressive Insurance commercial with Flo, and they're all in Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm a friend and I, a director friend and I were talking about this the other day, and she's like, don't expect the craft service table or anything else on a set to be the same, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the neat thing about mine. My craft service is amazing because I do it.
You make it yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Your green room is probably the best in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of Tyler Perry.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I only live like 15 miles from that studio.
Do you? By the way, he's hiring, so you're a comedian, send in your shot, you know?
Yeah. I live close to it. I live 4 miles away from Pinewood.
Well, oh, that's right. Pinewood, Georgia. That's so weird.
Yeah, and The Walking Dead, you know Daryl from The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus?
Yes.
Him and Greg Nicotero actually own a restaurant in Sonoya, about 12 miles from me.
Reedus and Greg own a restaurant together? What kind of food?
It's kind of like an Applebee's type place, but with a lot better atmosphere. And it's called
What's it called?
Nick and Norman's.
Nick and Norman's. Wow, that's so cool.
You can actually throw a rock from the back door to the set of Alexandria on The Walking Dead. But when I first moved here, I actually cooked there. That was my job when I first moved here. I cooked at Nick and Norman's.
You actually cooked at Greg. You're a makeup guy. Have you thought about applying?
I never have. I mean, it's just I've never done it. The only professional makeup I ever did was, you know, doing the Halloweens at Fat Man's and that kind of stuff, and just having fun with it. But I actually worked at a haunted house in Augusta for a while. I'll send you some pictures. Our makeup girl there. I was working the outside, and I just wanted to be something different. And I had a shirt that was a top of a gorilla costume. So I wore that and blue jeans, and she did a gorilla appliance from scratch. It took her about 2 hours in the makeup chair to do this on me. But it was so amazing. I'll send you the pictures of it. It is so great. She did so wonderful.
I'd love to see them.
Yeah, and I mean, it was basically out of cotton and, you know, a little bit of latex and makeup. It was so wonderful.
Wow.
But I tell you, one of the creepiest...
Totally me intrigued. That sounds great, you know?
One of the creepiest makeups I've ever seen, and it's not really a makeup, it's more of an appliance. Did you ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
No, but my brother Donald loved it. Was it good?
It was good. There was a guy on there named Richard, what was his last name? I can't think of his last name, Harold or something like that. But he had a part of his face messed up in the war. And he, the way they would deal with that back in those days is they made a mold of one side of his face and basically made a contoured piece out of tin and painted it.
Wow.
Like their face, and held it on with glasses. But, oh, yeah, just Google Boardwalk Empire, Richard. And to me, that is the creepiest appliance in the world. Because when he talks, you see half of his mouth move and the other half doesn't. And it's just, it's
That's
so
great. That's
so funky. But I love makeup.
Yeah, I've been a lot of creatures. I've been lucky enough to sit in the chair for like Jamie Kelman, who did a ton of stuff for ILM and everybody. I've been in the chair of Michael Westmore, Tom Berman, his very talented son, Sticks and Stones Effects, Rob Berman, and Pat McGee Effects. I love the stories. You're there for 3 hours, and or more. And I know some people get itchy and stuff like that. I don't. I just enjoy hearing the stories while they turn you into a creature.
Yeah, and the neat thing about makeup is, while CGI is great, this is coming from somebody's mind into their hands, and they're doing this, just out of nothing, and boom, it's on you, and that's so neat to me. That somebody can do that.
It's truly an art form. I mean, you're literally being transformed by an artist. It's amazing.
Yeah. I remember I did Pinhead on my assistant when the first year. I actually got into radio by doing makeup.
Really?
I had been doing it at Fat Man's that year, and my sister knew the programming director of our local classic rock station, 96 RXR.
Oh.
And he asked me one day, he was out there at the apartment complex, and he said, "Man, can you do my people for me? We're doing a remote on Halloween." I'm like, "Well, sure." So, the afternoon of Halloween, one by one, him and all of his DJs came into my house, and I did makeup for them. And they said, "We're going to be at Fat Tuesdays. Come out there." I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, we will." And I remember my appliance, the Man with No Face, with Mel Gibson. I did a thing where my face kind of looked like that, and I had made the appliance like that for half my face, and it went up into my hair. And when it came time to get on stage for the costume contest and do whatever the hell you had to do, I said, "My head's killing me," and I reached up and grabbed my hair and just snatched that off the side of my face. And I mean, from like half my head was just gone, just mangled under there, and that was so awesome. And I won second.
Wow.
But my assistant, I made her up as Pinhead using meat trays and toothpicks. Styrofoam meat trays and toothpicks, and it turned out so great.
Wow.
But, I love it because you have to think outside the box sometimes, and when you do, you can come up with something spectacular.
When you run and gun like that, you really do,
Yeah. And you're like the movie FX, Brian Brown's sitting there eating something and looks at this lettuce and say, "Ooh, that'd make great alien flesh."
I love effects. I don't think it gets enough credit.
Yeah, that's a wonderful movie.
Second one, not so good. The first one's great.
Yeah, I couldn't sit through the second one. The first one I loved.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I've only loved the first one, and the second one, when they do a sequel like that, it's usually so everyone will get paid,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm all about getting paid, but let's put out something good.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, just get the product out there and make it good,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Oh,
great stories, man. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I'll tell you, dude, I've had a ball. We have gone for over an hour on this thing.
Have we? Wow, I'm sorry. I enjoyed it very much. I look forward to it. Please post it on my wall when it's ready,
Oh, I definitely am. And that's the great thing about podcasts. There aren't any rules. So, yeehaw, an hour. We've done great.
Well, thank you. Hey, do me a favor. Watch Abominable this weekend on Prime, okay?
Oh, I'm going to watch it tonight.
Good man. Hey, something's out there. The one you were. I don't think I've seen that one. Is it scary? Is it good? What's it about?
It's pretty cool. It's about this little town starts having Bigfoot sightings, and this guy's going to his dad's house, and his dad tells him, "Okay, well, here's what happened back in the '60s with your grandpa." And this family starts just basically their house is getting terrorized by a Bigfoot, and it is just. Man, it's a really good movie because it's not that straight up horror.
Do you realize that's the only Bigfoot movie I did not watch on Prime? They weren't showing mine before I got rid of Prime, but mine came on right after that. But to me, something's out there. I always worried it was a squishy. I'm not really interested in, hey, we all love Bigfoot here in the Hendersons type stuff where you just do Bigfoot E.T. Yeah. I'm in for the Bigfoot's pissed and it's coming for the van,
Yeah, and that's kind of this one. I mean, it's a really good movie. It is really good.
Hey, do me a favor. Make sure you watch Exists, which either Myrick or Sanchez from Blair Witch did, okay? It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's the angry Bigfoot. Big Legend I also enjoyed, okay?
Okay.
And modesty prevents me, but hoax. I know the Bigfoot and hoax is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a great weekend. Be very, very careful. Congratulations on having the weekend off. And keep up the good work, but for God's sake, be careful, okay? And thank you for your service.
I definitely will, man. And thank you for coming on here, and thank you for all the memories.
Brad, it was a pleasure. Call back anytime, okay?
I definitely will.